Center.
Welcome back to the Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host. Thanks for joining us. Broadcasting to you live from the Dallas KFXR 1190 AM iHeart Media Studios, worldwide through yorbamedia.com. All right, it's with great pleasure I bring on Enzo Villani, CEO equities.com. This man has got a huge list of accomplishments. Just a real proud moment for me to have this man on the show. Enzo, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Yes, Michael, thanks for actually having me on board. It's a great Saturday here in actually sunny LA, and I've been hearing horrible stories about the actual nor'easter coming to the Northeast. So I'm actually feeling pretty good here.
Okay, I bet you are. All right, Enzo, give our audience a feel for your background. It's very extensive in the investment world, what you've done with the NASDAQ and the other companies you work with, and then let's get into what equities.com does.
Sure, Michael, thanks. So I've been involved in actually changing the way the listings for the major exchanges works. Back when the two kind of major exchanges, the NASDAQ and the other exchanges kind of changed the rules, we had to actually start to really compete head to head for actually listings. And by doing so, I came up with a set of different products and services that help public companies be better public companies. So everything from the IR services, the kind of how to manage their actual shareholder base, how to attract new shareholders, how to deal with proxy issues, board tools, all of those types of products really are based on the fact that with the rules you need to follow, you really have to purchase these services. And what we did at NASDAQ was we created a bundle type of solution so that companies could really easily just sign on board. So some of the products like Globe Newswire was a small wire service that we purchased in 2006, and now is still one of the actual fastest growing wire services in the world. So there's the main reason was to help the public companies deal with the costs and to also do it better.
You've built three companies with a buy and build strategy. You're the founder of the NASDAQ Global Corporate Solutions, fastest growing business on the NASDAQ. Obviously, a Cornell MBA. You have got all of that history, all of that wisdom, all of that knowledge, all of that experience in doing things right, put into equities.com to help entrepreneurs and building companies that last. How do you do that?
So the one major problem for the small cap company, and there's 60% of the companies that are listed on the major exchanges, the NASDAQ, the New York Stock Exchange, are really under $1 billion market capitalization, and literally they get no research coverage, they have no news coverage, and they're large names. You have you have $6 trillion in total market capitalization that is almost being uncovered or not covered by the major news organizations, really because it doesn't move the actual needle. And I don't blame the actual major news organizations for not covering them, but here our platform is completely focused on building a news organization with products and services to allow these companies to market themselves to self-directed investors, who are about 50 million plus in the U.S. alone, and show them different alpha opportunities that they may not be seeing from their current wealth manager, planner, so on. So these are the opportunities that are almost the pre-mainstream market, and there are a ton of them in biotech, fintech, high technology, mobile services, so on and so forth.
Now, a part of the alpha is going to have to be capital formation process. The markets are continuing to evolve and in that nature. Let's bring that out to the audience because you're very involved in that process.
Sure. So that's changed a lot too. I mean, there's a major rule change that happened last year or 2 years ago, actually, Jobs Act. And with this new actual legislation, it changed the way private companies can market themselves to the public. So kind of accredited investors, which is a certain type of criteria, and it has to be verified, so it's not for everyone, can invest now in companies that are private and marketing themselves online through crowd finance platforms. This is a massive rule change because since 1934, you could not do this as a private company. You had to deal with a broker-dealer banker who went to his network or their network only. Now you can go online through social media and market yourself to multiple investors. There's rules around it, and you must follow them. But at the end of the day, just the actual rule change of being able to kind of open up the world to your offering has made a major difference. There's a couple of key, top 3 to 4 crowd finance portals that are out there that have raised $125 million in 6 months for 30, 40 companies. And these investments range from as little as $200,000 total all the way up to $15 million.
Let's get back. Thank you for bringing that out and deciphering that. Let's get back into equities.com for just a minute because I'm looking at the editor's desk, issuer news, research, videos, events. I want the audience to really get the full flavor of what you're doing, the pioneering that you're doing in this industry, having really grown up in it and cut your teeth on the hard spot there.
Yeah, so look, there are, we actually have a very solid line with the news desk organization here at the firm, and we focus on we have 3 to 4 journalists that are in the company, and that's growing. We're actually starting to do news hits at the NASDAQ market site. We also have about 100 different analysts and researchers in the small cap space, top names, who write and blog for our site. And the bigger opportunity is that we're trying to create the meritocracy in small caps by letting companies, by letting these research analysts, by letting folks who want to write and blog about these companies come on the platform, and we monitor the platform for any what I would call shady activity, and we make sure those people don't exist on the platform. So it's a safe area, a safe kind of refuge, a basic ecosystem to really create a marketplace where the public company can speak to investors, the investors can speak to actually analysts, and almost bringing it back to the way it was on Wall Street for many, many years with trading desks and the floor, by having that kind of opportunity to have conversations with people who are smart in certain areas. And we focus on certain sectors more than others. We've done our first acquisition that's based out of Canada, and that company covers a lot of the resource sector. So the resource sector, oil is back up again, by the way, and that's good for the resource sector. That's good for the mining sector. It's good for Canada. So you'll probably see the actual kind of Canadian dollar start to actually move back up again. So there's different opportunities that actually here you can find and you can also leverage. So come on board, be a member. If you're a small cap public company, come here. You can literally take over the profile and manage it yourself. And by doing all of this and by having research tools and tools for the self-type of directed investor and social media and so on and so forth, we're really trying to give them as much or really level the playing field between what the smart, the smart money guys get and what the retail investor gets.
Now, you have a newsletter. Tell the audience how they can sign up for that. I signed up for it already, but I want you to let us know.
www.equities.com is the best place to start. Sign up, to become one of the members, it's free. And then with that free membership, you get one newsletter, and then we plan to actually start to really curate about 3 to 4 newsletters by the end of this year.
All right,
and those are with high-end analysts, high-end research houses that cater to the hedge funds, and we're going to try to bring them to the retail investor for you.
That's great. Enzo, I have a lot more questions, but we need to take a commercial break now. Let's come back on the other side, and let's talk about impact investing and a few more things, all right?
Great. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. We'll be right back with Enzo Villani, CEO, equities.com. This is going to be one of the top news services if you're into investing. Coming up on the other side of this break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Rodney Anderson, inviting you to tune into my daily radio show from 11 a.m. to noon on Talk Radio 1190 a.m. Listen in for sound financial advice, and I'll answer all your money questions and more, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. on Talk Radio 1190.
BTJ Consulting was founded specifically to consult with accredited investors on how best to manage their oil and gas investments. The emphasis is not only on direct participation in drilling projects, but includes opportunities in the purchasing of oil rigs, service and equipment companies, real estate, and or the purchase of royalty interest through lease pooling. This strategy further mitigates risk and spreads their clients' investments over the entire sector whenever possible. For more information, call 469-518-5008 or info@btjconsulting.com. 469-518-5008 or info@btjconsulting.com. That's 469-518-5008 or info@btjconsulting.com. And tell them Yorba sent you.
This is Dr. James, CEO and founder of Diamond Physicians, a direct medicine practice that combines exemplary customer service, state-of-the-art medical technology, compassionate physicians, and 24-hour medical access to revitalize healthcare delivery in America. Diamond is searching for investors to join the solution for rising healthcare costs. We have reached a paradigm shift in the healthcare market. Now is the time to invest in Diamond, a brand that has gained national attention by delivering affordable concierge medicine. Visit diamondphysicians.com/franchise to learn more about franchise opportunities.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies, and rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, for a man age 45 non-tobacco user, it's $1 million of coverage and $75 per month level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Term Busters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-800-862-8376. That's 1-800-862-8376. You're probably paying more than you should. Call Term Busters at 1-800-862-8376 or visit our website at termbusters.net. Remember, 1-800-862-8376. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes based on preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
I want to thank my mommy for loving me so much, for taking me out to the park, for reading me books, for taking
me to the doctor when I broke my foot in ballet rehearsal,
for leaving me alone when I wanted to be alone.
And now, as a grown-up, I'm thankful for being able to take care of you, my dear mom, for having the chance to take you to the park, for reading you those books we enjoy so much, for being able to take you to your therapies after you twisted your ankle, for understanding that sometimes you simply want to be alone.
Roles change without us noticing. And in your new role, we help you help. Visit aarp.org/caregiving to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one. Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP. We help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host, broadcasting to you live from the Dallas KFXR 1190 AM iHeart Media Studios and worldwide through yorbamedia.com. I'm joined on the show with Enzo Villani, CEO, equities.com. Ladies and gentlemen, This is going to be one of the top news services if you're into investing, all kinds of things, not just stocks. You're talking about equities, futures, small caps, technology, crowd investing, financial, healthcare, energy, you name it. And one of the things that we're going to bring out on this segment right now with Enzo is a new term that's come up. It's not the first time that it's come up, but Enzo, you and I have a mutual friend, Vince Molinari, that you two are very big on impact investing. Let's talk about that.
Sure. So there's so there's a trend that has been really happening for the past, let's say, 10 years or so, where most of the major pension funds and the large fund investors are looking for the impact investing type of firm. So, and what folks don't understand, I think, in the impact world, or who hear impact, is they think it's it's some type of it's the windmills and the solar panels and all that, and that's great. But it's also there's also this factor, or these factors that are becoming more and more. They're becoming they're looking for alpha in companies that have positive viewpoints towards the impact investing world, or how they manage their companies. So a company like that makes a actual beverage, a sports drink, there are water issues. There are water issues when you go to different countries. There are different rules and so on. And how do they recapture? How do they deal with plastics and so on? So everyone is starting to look at almost every single company in that space. In small cap and in micro cap markets, you have many of these new companies that are really innovative, and that in some cases will be purchased by the larger players, because the larger players need to add an impact type of investing kind of methodology to their world. So let's take one company that I know of. They've come up with a way to, and this is a very simple thing in some ways. They take the barnacles off of major shipping, which speeds up the actual the ship to move. It also lowers the actual oil cost and the oil burn. And the company that would target them would be someone who has a huge shipping line, right? Mm-hmm. So there's opportunities, and that's just one small one, right? But there are a lot of these opportunities, and it's becoming more of a critical, important piece of the mandate that pension funds and massive funds that they really look at. And there's a difference. There's about a 10 to 15 difference in the alpha compared to the same company who's not doing this. So you should be looking at, as the investor in the United States, you should probably be looking at the fact that many of the what we would call the real, kind of institutional money is already applying these characteristics to companies that they're looking at, and you may want to start to really do the same thing. The other piece of it with Vince, right, is he is helping private organizations launch project financings and large projects and getting them funded through the UN and the State Department, and doing all of those things, which have a huge impact on bringing water to people who can't get clean water, and giving them tools and products. Many of the small caps and micro caps in the marketplace are trying to invent new products, new approaches to get this done.
Now,
so there's more research on it. There's more happening. There's more of a light being shown on it. There's also in the biotech market too, and that's a whole other piece of it also, which is where like the wearables market and the measurement market and the analytics of how someone functions. That's a whole other big opportunity in the microcaps.
You're going to be covering that extensively on equities.com, I take it?
Yes. So we're focusing our time. We're working on some things that I can't talk about yet because it's not public, but we're working on some larger opportunities to to really cover that sector. So there's really there's really a couple of areas that we want to cover as a company, as a news company, and it's everything under $1 billion market cap. But we'll still write stories about the larger cap companies here and there, but it's always tied to the smaller cap and the private company kind of ecosystem. So that covers a lot of these types of firms, and from a sector base, you usually look at the small cap. There's a lot of biotech innovation. There's a lot of high-tech innovation. There's a lot of these innovative companies coming to play. So we want to focus on those sectors.
Why? Tell me why, because there's a very good reason why you're focusing on the sectors you're focusing on, aside from what's going on with Bloomberg or CNBC or Reuters or the other major news services.
Well, because these firms don't really have a voice, and they don't really have a channel. Like they'll send out the press releases and all of that stuff, but at the end of the day, they're not getting enough of the coverage. And I understand why, because there's only so much time that the major players can actually put into it, and they have to play to the larger. But
Enzo, let me interrupt you for just a second. Isn't this where the organic growth of an economy actually occurs?
Absolutely. So everyone is focused on who's going to be the first kind of $1 trillion market cap. Is it going to be Google or maybe Apple? And I'm like, well, there's $6 trillion in market cap with 6,000 companies that are under $1 billion listed on the major exchanges. Doesn't even count the OTC, and they get nothing. It's like, so we want to focus on where the innovation's happening. A lot of these guys are getting picked up. If you're one of the investors who's in a retail world, right, you have more opportunity now to get in on the earlier stages because of the crowd financing rules change, because of the opportunities and potentially some of the changes happening to what's called a Reg A, where you might have a venture exchange pop up. You'll have more of those opportunities. And when you look at the risk factor, everyone talks about risk. If you use tools that help you measure the risk, you'll see that the beta, the risk, is actually not that much higher than what you're doing with some of the large caps and mega caps. So, and the alpha is a lot higher, because if you hit the right one, you're talking about companies that can give you 200% kind of returns in a relatively very, very, very short time frame.
Yeah, let's dive into that risk, because earlier you said in the interview you have a vetting process in place. So you're relying on the analysts that work with you, that report the news, that bring these new companies, this new technology, this exponential alpha, if I may loosely use that term, to the table through your new news service. Is that correct?
Yes, so we monitor it as a news organization. So we allow, you can't publish as one of the, so to reach the top of our food chain when you want to write for the site, we have to approve you. And even before anything, every single post has, some, not only on the technical side do we go through it to look for bad language, but we also look at it from the human standpoint and say, is this something that is not what we call hype? I mean, we don't want anyone hyping anything on our platform. We want to be a full news organization. So our goal is to do that well. And our goal is to focus on that, but we are a media company. We don't take, any sides. We just do interviews, and we try to get companies the opportunity to really show themselves to new investors. But we're very, very careful internally about the difference between, products and services and media and doing advertising versus the actual news desk.
And real editorial.
And real editorial, and we have to apply that, especially in this space, because those are some of the things that people always look at the space. Small cap, micro cap. Oh, that's where everybody's. It's the Wild West. Not necessarily when you're looking at NASDAQ and the actual major exchanges. these companies are not Wild West. This is, these are $400 million market cap companies, $600 million market cap companies like Cheesecake Factory. I mean, these are not tiny little firms. You can get you can get stories on them too, but there's a lot of companies out there that, you probably use their products every day.
Enzo, I've got to interrupt you.
Pay attention to it.
Enzo, I've got to interrupt you. We're going to go on forever. You'll be back on the show. I want to thank you for being here on the show, joining the social network, and inviting me to be a contributor to your news service.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for the time.
My pleasure. Enzo Villani, CEO, Equities.com. On the other side of this break, we're going to come back with a new emerging company, Mitchell Roth Bourbon Brothers Holding Company. This is the latest in restaurateurs.
Warning, KFXR Dallas Fort Worth Talk Radio.